Live.
Live from New York. No.
Yeah.
Live from Mountain Grove.
It's Thursday night.
With Chatter the Squirrel. We should have really rehearsed this.
Yeah, I was really just kind of running with nothing there.
Chatter the Squirrel's 86. We are back. After a double week hiatus.
Yes.
Brought on by the seasickness. The letter C. Brought to you by the letter C. Anyway, back, ready to go. We got things to go over. A couple of bigger things we'll hit. Alan's, of course, hitting his buttons and everything, sharing us out.
I like to hit buttons.
He's doing all that. So while he's doing that, I'll just give you a rundown that pretty sure, even though I did not get tested, probably that makes me a horrible human being somewhere. Pretty sure that I had the COVID. I self-isolated for 2 weeks. I don't have any smell, sense of smell or taste much. So that's what leads me to believe that's probably what I had. So, but I self-isolated. I wasn't here in the store for 2 weeks. And didn't see anybody for 2 weeks. Still haven't seen my grandkids since I took them to the pumpkin thing.
Yeah, the pumpkin patch.
Almost 3 weeks ago, yeah. So anyway, y'all probably don't want to hear about that. It's depressing. But be that as it may, Alan's getting all them buttons hit.
I'm getting there.
But where have y'all been? What have y'all been up to? We've been out. I ain't been doing anything. I took a week's vacation that just turned into quarantining.
I went on vacation.
Yeah, he went on vacation. Had a good time. That's good.
I certainly did.
But we're here back at it. We just rolled off a Reblog-a-Tog, which will get put up later this weekend. Reblog-a-Tog 31, I think it is. So I don't know if we should try to catch up or ignore the last 2 weeks, but we kind of hit somewhere in the middle. We may miss some stuff that y'all may know about. We may hit some stuff you don't. We may make up some things that you like and that you don't like. I don't know.
I think I made it through everything this time.
But, you know, the pandemic's still going on, so we've got reduced news to somewhat. And of course, reduced events here in the store. So I am requiring a mask here in the store still.
Yes.
Or I have curbside if you don't want to do the mask thing.
We did have 9 people tonight for Commander.
Yep. So we played Commander for a couple hours. Most of my events, trying to make sure finish up under 3 hours.
Yep. Short time period.
Everything's about making it a shorter time period.
Mandatory mask, short time period, limited seating in the store.
Yep. So we are back to doing Commander on Thursdays. So from 6 to 9, we did that tonight. We'll do it again next Thursday. Fridays, we're still going to bounce around like we've been doing, and this week, tomorrow night is Pioneer.
Right.
So
one Friday I got to work. There's Pioneer. You know.
Then on Saturday this week, I'm actually going to go do a little thing called Rubicon up in Springfield at the Relic Event Center. Mm-hmm. We'll be wearing masks there and obeying all the rules in Springfield, Missouri. And I'm going to do it's a little 6 or 7 hour con.
Don't forget to take the Grove Gamers Guild mask up there.
Oh, yeah, I'll be wearing the Grove Gamers Guild mask.
Well, I mean, take some up for sale, too.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, and then Saturday as well, there's Rubicon, but also I want to give a shout-out to some of our very always in the store kind of patrons. We have a lot. We got a wedding happening on Saturday with Zach and Ashley.
Yeah, congrats to them.
Congratulations.
We will be doing some Commander that night for those of us who can't go, weren't invited, didn't want to go. I'm not even sure what time the wedding is.
I don't know.
Since I'm open and couldn't be there.
I don't remember, like 3, I think.
3 or something. So anyway, if you want to come out and play some Commander that evening, we'll be doing some Commander between 6 and 9 on Saturday as well. Just remember to bring your mask, all right? We did have a B&R announcement.
Yep.
And it banned a card before I even owned one.
Omnath is finally gone.
Omnath is out of there after 2 weeks of running roughshod or whatever it was.
Yeah. Reckon formats, it was pretty much standard to become trying to find out which Omnath deck was best. You can play any deck you want as long as it's Omnath kind of format.
So they got rid of that. They got rid of Lucky Clover in
And-
Standard.
There was a third one, right?
Escape
Escape from the Wilds. Escape to the Wilds.
Escape to the Wilds.
Yes, which I was pretty sure was gonna go. It was
5 mana. Basically, you're drawing 3 cards for 5 mana and playing an additional land. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. You don't get that rate very often.
No.
So, and that was red green. So
Yeah.
So anyway, and there was some historic and other stuff, but that's the main gist. So
That's the main
by the
gist,
time
yeah.
we play Standard next month, you should be able to build pretty much any. I think there's some control decks, there's
Yep.
some aggro, there's
There-
mid range.
there-
It's opened it way up. So I look forward to having some really good Standard stuff
There is, yes.
here in the store.
There is
So,
more than just your favorite flavor of Omnath again. So,
Another big thing that I heard this week is that the War of the Spark art book came out, which sounded weird
'Cause it's a
since
little
War,
late.
War of the Spark was what, like 6 years ago?
a year and a half.
It was a long time ago.
Almost a year and a half. Yeah, almost a year and a half. And I do believe this is going to be the last art book. I believe that was said.
Oh, I don't know for certain on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was kind of nice to see that WotC had stolen one of my ideas and put in there. Something that I saw shared out, that it was revealed that Kazmina
Uh-huh.
is part of some kind of secret cabal that likes to... did they put harvest the embers or ignite the embers?
Yeah, they're looking to build an army against an oncoming threat.
Yeah. So I've already got a D&D campaign where I have a
Kazmina. We don't know her name, but it is a female planeswalker.
Almega. You know,
Almega, that's right.
you know
sorry.
her name. Who does something similar, but that's all I can say because I don't want to give it away to the people who
Keep
do
trying
play.
to get him to
Yeah,
tip his hat here.
But anyway, they stole my idea, you know. But it is the hook of my current D&D campaign that all of them were sparked in a very distressing way.
traumatic experience.
Yeah. So, moving along. There was apparently a very large leak on Commander Legends
Yeah.
that even Star City Games got involved in.
I
But
could
we
not
are going
believe-
to hold the high ground here.
Yeah.
And we're going to wait official previews begin next week.
Yeah.
And we're going to wait for that. We will, at the end of the show, be going over Mark Rosewater's teasers.
Yes.
For the set, like he's been doing for Standard. He did one with Commander Legends, and that'll be what we'll be going over at the end of the show.
There's some major recourse that got hit on the guy, one of the guys doing all the leaks too. I heard. I didn't read through all of it, but Wizards got to him apparently. Because although I heard that some of it was from an eBay listing, they bought it.
eBay listing,
They bought it
yeah.
legitimately off eBay.
And I think most of it was Spanish, right? It was.
Yeah, it was
Cards were in Spanish.
German. Some of it was
German and Spanish.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, we're not going over any of that, but we're going to go over Mark Rosewater's teaser list in a little bit. So stay tuned for that, all right? WizKids announced a new line of MTG figs
Yep.
that includes the names of 2 gods from unreleased sets, and we believe those will be from Kaldheim.
That would make sense. It's coming up next.
So, Allrund, God of Wisdom, and Rydane, Goddess of Justice. And most likely those are going to be from Kaldheim.
Most likely.
But that's a spoiler that we'll go over because we know that.
I mean, that's Odin and
God of Wisdom, Goddess of Justice. So
yeah, I don't know my Norse well enough. Is that Sith for Justice? I don't know.
I don't know on that.
Yeah.
Along with it, I didn't get these put together very well. Since we're talking about that, didn't I have another thing that went with that? Oh my, maybe I made horrible notes here
Not that I saw.
because we had that as okay. Oh yeah, right here. Also, it was brought to the attention that WotC registered some domains.
Yeah.
So this again isn't really a spoiler so much as it's kind of here's some information that we know.
This happens a lot. This is how a lot of people start speculating upon things.
People who have time go out looking to see what domains registered.
Domains registered, names copyrighted, those kind of things are big.
We know that for some reason, and we don't know what the reason is yet, that they have got the domains for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. We assume it's a set. We assume that finally they figured out how to go back to Kamigawa.
Yeah.
So all you Commander players that have been jonesing for us to go back to Kamigawa, looks like they might have found a way.
Some people feel like it's maybe going to be a little cyberpunky.
It looks that way.
Yeah.
How are they going to keep modern out of cyberpunky?
Right. I'm not sure.
Neon is not exactly, like medieval.
Right.
So it should be interesting to see.
Well, I mean, we saw the Etherpunk and Kaladesh, so we can...
Sure, Ether, Steam,
Right.
kind of similar, but Neon, I don't know.
I know, but...
It's a noble gas. But outside of that, how are we going to use it? We're going to have neon signs, but they're just magical neon signs?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. But anyway, that was another little spoiler we will go over with you.
Yes.
So, something I thought kind of cool. I don't know if you guys were following here a couple of years ago. And I forget the guy's name.
I don't remember either. I followed it.
But it's called Magic Bracket, and he spent over 2 years having voting go one card against another. Until we we're down to two cards.
Oh, man, so
Lightning Bolt and Birds of Paradise. And you bolt the bird. And Lightning Bolt was the number one card overall after all the voting for over 2 years. Lightning Bolt wins, Bolt the bird. So his next project, he took some time off. His next project, because after Commander Legends comes out, we'll have over 1,024 legendary creatures. We're going to be having the legendary creature MTG bracket. And we're going to see what your favorite legendary creature is. There'll be a small window where they take care of the excess to get to the 1,024.
Right.
And then he's going to bracket it out. Should take 6 months. And
it's a lot smaller than doing all the cards in Magic.
Right. It's only 1,000 instead of 15,000.
Right.
So it'll go much quicker. And so be sure and check that out. So far, the only campaign I saw was for Ismaru, Hound of Kondo.
Ha!
If I forgot the name right there.
Yeah.
That he needs
Isamaru,
to win.
yeah.
Isamaru. So anyway, we'll see who, I don't know, maybe I'll just try to get Norin in there. I don't know. Anyway, so be watching for that, guys.
But he's not a coward.
He's not a coward. I am going to remind you that because we're not running sanctioned events, that for a $20 Magic sealed purchase, you can get one of the Universal promo packs. And for a $60 purchase, you can get a foil one. Yes, that means with $80 of sealed Magic purchase, you can get one of each. Okay? So that is going on. Another thing I'm going to be starting with...
I should have grabbed that down.
That starts with the November board game Saturday night is the giant code names that I have in here.
Yeah.
It's a big demo style. It's 4 times normal size.
Yeah, it's large.
If you come out and you play in the board game Saturday night, you're going to get entries for playing.
Tickets.
If I will have to look at the event, but you're also going to get them starting on week for buying board games. You're going to get entries into it.
Very nice.
And then I'm going to give that away the Saturday before Christmas, so you'll have time to gift it if you'd like. And that will be a giveaway right at Christmas time, the giant code names. So watch on how to get that. But there is an event created for that, so be checking into that. We will take the time to mention there will not be a Gamer Thanksgiving because of COVID this year.
Yeah.
There will not be a Gamer Thanksgiving. I'm not sure what I'm doing on Thanksgiving. We probably will have our family Thanksgiving. But I don't know if I'll be open any that day, so be watching for that. That'll be coming soon. It's almost November.
Yeah.
But there will not be a Gamer Thanksgiving this year.
Yeah, it makes me sad, but it is the right decision to make. So
it is.
I really enjoy.
We've got to make
for
those
several
right
years.
decisions.
We've replaced our family Thanksgiving with the Gamer Thanksgiving.
Three years we've done it, I believe. So
ever since you got the building.
Ever since I got the building. All right, so moving along.
I know my. Yep. Shoot. Or whoop whoop Michael Shoop. I agree with the sad face.
Yeah. Hopefully next year we can get back to it, guys. So I read an article. It's been 2 or 3 weeks ago. I didn't save the article. I forgot who wrote it, which website, but it was about using a sideboard in Commander. Now, the way this sideboard works isn't like a normal sideboard.
It's not a wish board.
It's not a wish board. It's basically a way that you can modify your deck depending on the play group that you're playing with or the effect that you're wanting to get. So in the sideboard, you can have alternate commanders. You can also power up or power down your deck by using the sideboard. And you can have any number of cards. I think 15 to 25 is about as big as you'd want it to get.
Yeah.
And you could change. I know that periodically.
A new station alert has arrived for your area.
I have those things silenced. So I think, for me, once in a while I update my commander decks, and I can change as few as 10 cards, and my deck plays totally differently. So as few as 10, but I think 15 or 20 is a good number. And
I'd say with 20 cards, I could adjust the power level of a deck to whatever I wanted it to be, almost. I could really move up and down quite a bit with the 20 cards.
So if you sit down at a table with a lot of newer players, you could just take a quick sideboard and side out your combo pieces, your higher end stuff, and make it so it plays a little slower.
Right.
Or if it's normally kind of a dirtly deck, you can sideboard in against a more powerful group and make it a little bit better. I think that's a perfectly grand way to kick up your commander game.
Yeah.
By kicking it down sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that off. I've got a lot of commander decks.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that's something that if you just got, a few commander decks, you might look at doing, adding a sideboard to it so that you can power up, power down that deck and kind of match up a little better.
I think it sounds fantastic. I've thought about something like that before, but I've never actually done it.
So for any of you who are watching this not live, but later after we sent you here from Reblogatog 31,
Yeah.
thanks for showing up. We're about to talk about one of the things we told you to come listen to.
Yeah.
And that is, Mayro did an interview with Shivam Bhatt on Casual Magic number 37, which is a podcast.
Shivam's part of the rules, the CAG, or the rules committee. Is he actually on the rules?
He's not on the rules committee.
He's part of the CAG then.
Yeah.
He's a big commander
advisory group.
He pops up a lot of places. I really like him every time I see him somewhere, actually. He seems to really have a good finger on the pulse of Commander, and he's a big casual guy. He wants to have fun.
So there were three things in this podcast that struck me. I'm going to get this one out of the way because we talked a little bit about it on Reblogatog. And that's that Mayro says they rely on putting draw a card on cards too much in design. And I believe we've seen that in the last couple of years especially. There's just too many cards doing too many things.
Zendikar Rising, I think they finally passed the complete egregious line in the sand with draw a card on everything. I mean, for God's sakes, Omnath, guys. The card already did everything, but it also draws you a card when you play it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just too... Nobody wants to hear this, especially you control players, but too many resources.
Dude, yeah. Well, and I've heard, like, out of pro Magic players, your all-time greats or something, I love listening to LSV talk about Magic. The man knows Magic so well. I love listening to talk about it, and listening to him on actually constructed resources, I believe, not limited resources, a couple weeks ago, and he talked about how much he missed playing games of Magic that were resource battles. You can't play that kind of Magic anymore. It doesn't exist.
No, both players got a full grip.
Yeah.
Keep a full grip, and it's just...
Turn 4, you have all the mana you're ever going to want. You're not going to out-resource somebody. You just... Who swings the bigger haymaker is what Magic has come down to. And to hear, especially, like I said, a guy like LSV talk about that, like, he knows Magic, and I agree 100%. I miss the games of attrition, essentially. Mid-range is fun.
So that was one of the things that I found very interesting. Another was Mayro saying that, he wanted to bring it up because Shivam calls his podcast Casual Magic. Mm-hmm. Well, Mayro had an issue with that, and that what does casual mean? And he thought there were 3 meanings to casual. So we're going to go over those real quick. Non-competitive or non-serious. You just want to play and experience the game. That's casual. You're not in it to win it. You just want to play and have a good time. Maybe it's just a social thing. That's casual. Okay? I'd say that's mainly me right there. Number 2, you're not enfranchised. You play the game, but you don't read about it or watch content or anything. This is your kitchen table people.
Right.
Primarily, because they don't even know formats exist, a lot of
Right.
them. So that's casual. And then not experienced in the game. You're new to the game. You're not sure how a lot of it works. Maybe you're somebody who just plays once in a while. You go to a cousin's house and you play, or you've got a neighbor that you hang out with once in a while and you play Magic.
Buddy gave you a pre-con deck and you guys play every now and then.
You know, this is very similar to the not in franchise, but you just play a lot less probably.
Right.
So that's 3 different ways of looking at casual. And Mayro was pointing those out because he's trying to design not only for the enfranchised player, not only for the competitive player, not only for the format players,
right,
but for all these casual players. So remember, when you open up a pack of Magic cards, somebody's looking at those for the first time.
Right.
And going, what does all this mean? And so he's designing for those people. He's designing for all the others too. And then the third thing that I really wanted to stress on is that Commander is about variance.
Yes.
The reason why Commander is fun for most of the people who play it is because of the variance. Because
who knows what might happen?
You've got 100 different cards and 100 different things could happen. So what happens though, and this is an issue, and they're aware of it because they talk about it on the podcast, designing for Commander. As soon as they started designing for Commander, it started meaning that variance started to lower.
Yes.
Because they designed cards for Commander. Instead of taking what you could find and making your deck, now they made a card that does the things you wanted it. Now there's a blue-red Artifacts Matter Commander.
Right.
Not something you had to make work. Now there's these cards that just do all the things.
Yeah. There's too many cards that are enabler and payoff on the same card. The way Magic has worked for a long time is you have an enabler and you're trying to get your payoff. They're not supposed to be on the same card.
So if you're finding your Commander games aren't as fun as they used to be, one of the things you can do is increase your variance. Now, you'd say, how can we do that? It's already 100 different cards. Well, first off, you go into that deck and you take out all the stuff that does the same thing. Mm-hmm. Because you can still do that. How many tutors are you playing? Are you playing Vampiric and Demonic and Diabolic? And some others?
Right.
Are you playing, how many different things that do the same thing are you playing? Get rid of those. Go through your cards. Look at stuff that looks fun and throw that in.
Yeah.
You can increase your variance so that you get a different play experience. If your Commander deck does the same thing every time you sit down and play with it, I've been told by him, I can't say you're doing it wrong, but you're doing it wrong. So, go find your competitive crowd and play some competitive, because you're taking the variance out, and that's what competitive players do. That's why you play 4 of each, and why they've done away with restricted list in Commander and non in the rotating formats.
Well, Vintage is the only thing that has a
restricted list. Yeah, they only have banned lists in the others, and the only reason they leave a restricted list in Vintage is because they want you to be able to play with pretty much every card.
They want you to play every broken card you can get your hands on.
Well, every card that's been made. You got access to almost all of them with very few exceptions.
Yeah, really the only things that are banned in Vintage, there's like the anti-card, the manual dexterity anti-cards.
Charizard.
Yeah, things.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
they don't ban for power level in Vintage, essentially. They'll restrict for power level, but they won't ban for power level.
So Commander players, if you're looking to kick up your Commander game, if you're looking to kick it up to win more, you take out the variance.
Yeah.
If you're looking to kick up the fun, then you want higher variance.
Yeah.
And you want to look at mixing up those cards in there and taking away all those cards that are doing the same thing.
Right. You don't need so many duplicates. You don't need so many tutors. I'm not going to tell you to take all the tutors out, but I wouldn't run more than one. It is nice to have one in a deck sometimes to be like, oh God, what am I going to do? Oh, well, sometimes I don't run like 4 tutors. You're killing the one. I think is okay. You know, like I said, one of effects. You have 1 tutor. You have 1. You know, whatever.
A couple other quick hits here. In-store play did get officially suspended in Europe.
Yep.
Because COVID is cranking it out up there too.
All over the world still.
Yeah. So
unless you're New Zealand, congratulations, New Zealand.
Asia still plays, right?
I think
they're not part of Europe or Latin America.
No, but I meant
so Asia still play.
COVID going crazy everywhere still.
But
unless you're New Zealand,
but not in Asia.
Better all over. I don't know. I know.
Well, it's not banned there. It's banned. Europe. Asia isn't part of Europe or Latin America, so it's not banned there. Is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Okay. At least until January. So, and then Star City Games indefinitely suspended tabletop play. They had just been kind of saying, you know, their tour was postponed, blah blah blah. Now they've indefinitely suspended it. They're doing online play, but they actually came out and said, we're done indefinitely until something happens.
Yeah.
So, Alan, you had some D&D stuff to go over?
Yeah, I wanted to hit on a couple things I heard about this week. First one for all you Forgotten Realms fans out there, all you big Dritz fans. I saw that R.A. Salvatore has signed a contract to do one more trilogy of Dritz books, because I guess apparently the last ones, I don't know when they came out, were supposed to be the end, because the statement I saw from Salvatore said that he had decided to do one more trilogy to tie up some loose ends that he felt were hanging from his last trilogy. So that's impressive. That's good. I know a lot of people really love the Dritz books. I only ever read the first trilogy of them. There's like 30 of them.
Can I tell my R.A. Salvatore story here?
Yeah.
Okay. For those who haven't heard it, most of y'all know, if you're regulars, that I go to Gen Con every year.
Yeah.
Every year they have a Gen Con anyway. And several years ago, I went, and I have several friends who are big Dritz Jordan fans.
Yes.
I've never read a single book. And R.A. Salvatore was going to be there, and I'm not a line person. I really very rarely will get in line and wait for anything.
Yes.
If I've got to wait to eat, there's another place I can eat. I'm not a big fanboy, so I don't wait in a lot of lines to get autographs and stuff like that. But I happened to be in the dealer hall, and R.A. Salvatore had no line. He was like somebody was sitting there, and then there was no line, so I could literally walk up and immediately get access to R.A. Salvatore, which I did, because he had some stuff there that he was signing for people.
Yeah.
And so I picked that up for a friend. And in the course of talking to Mr. Salvatore, I revealed to him that I had not ever read any of his books, but that I was getting this for a friend. And I promised him, not on my life or anything, that I would read one of his books. I haven't.
You lied to R.A. Salvatore.
I just haven't read it yet.
Oh.
I probably will at some point read one of his manuscripts, but I have not as of this date. And that's been maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So, anyway, that's my R.A. Salvatore story. I did bring back a nice little autographed book for a friend who really enjoyed it.
Well, that's
and
nice.
that would be for Shane, yes.
Yeah. Well, to go on to my next I wanted to bring up, I can tell a somewhat similar story here that involves Gen Con and not really wanting to wait in a line, but getting a chance to get a book signed for a friend. The next story I have here to tell is there was going to be another trilogy of the Dragonlance novels written by Hickman and Weiss. I do not remember their first name.
Tracy Hickman, Margaret Weiss.
I remembered one of them was Margaret. I couldn't remember which was which. But they were supposed to write another trilogy of Dragonlance books. They had signed a contract with Wizards. They finished the first book, sent it off for approval, and we're part of the way through the second book of the trilogy. And without any explanation from what I've seen so far, WotC cut all ties, refused to publish the books, and say they own the rights to it as well, so it can't be published. Hickman and Weiss are unpaid.
They're suing them for $30 million.
Yes.
Long story short,
big lawsuit happening. But I also, at Gen Con, the one year I went, about 10 years ago,
not the same year,
10 to 15, 10, 12 years ago, I have a friend who loves the Dragonlance novels. I have never read the Dragonlance novels. But Adam,
I've actually read some of them.
Adam, a friend of mine, he now lives up in Iowa. I don't know if he ever watches the show. He loves the Dragonlance novels, and I got Hickman and Weiss to sign a copy of the first one, Dragons of Autumn, I think is Autumn, whichever one's the first one. I got that signed for them. But those are the two big D&D things. I saw the Hickman and Weiss thing 2 days ago, and then yesterday I saw the R.A. Salvatore thing, which I thought was kind of, they canceled her getting sued over one trilogy and then signed somebody on for another trilogy. So we'll see.
All right, so I think the last time we talked, and my memory is phasey, but between Reblogatog and Chatter, we definitely discussed both, or maybe even across 2 weeks, we discussed the Walking Dead Secret Lair.
Certainly did.
And I had what I'm going to call, because this is what everybody does nowadays, a hot take. And I'm going to tell you now what my cold take is, or once I've had a time to think about it, what my take on the whole situation is. So if you're not familiar with it, then maybe you don't even care. You can go look it up. There's lots been written on it on the interwebs, all right?
A lot, yes.
So, I think that maybe we in franchise players are doing a little, I hate to use these kinds of terminologies, but a little gatekeeping on this one. And franchise players are the minority in Magic the Gathering. We don't think we are because we seek out other enfranchised players who watch content like this,
right,
or read deck lists, or know when the sets are coming out, go to pre-releases, know what the cards are before they even play with them. They watch streaming on Twitch. I mean, franchise players know the storyline. Combinations of these things, you're an enfranchised player. Most people who play Magic in the world don't know any of these things. They found the cards at Walmart or maybe in a local game store. They play with friends at home when they get a chance, once a week, once a month, whenever.
They have a pre-con Commander deck. They have a game night
or
box
they don't
set.
even play Commander. They
Right.
just play 73 card cool things I got.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. The major point I want to make is that things change. And Alan and I were talking about this beforehand. And yeah, it is a perception. There's been a perception that for a lot of years that Magic was about competitive play.
Right.
It was about grinding FNM if you're a local, and then maybe going with your buds to a GP or a Star City event or a PTQ.
When we still have
and
those.
trying to make it to a Pro Tour.
Right.
And that's what Magic was about. Nothing else mattered. That was the thing. And you were somewhere in that level. Maybe you were just a FNM grinder and you wanted to win an FNM, you know. But some things have changed the perception of that. COVID, for one.
Yeah.
And the fact that Commander has become immensely popular and WotC is designing for Commander. With COVID coming on, if you guys go out looking, Magic cards didn't just become free.
No.
You're still going to pay substantial quantities of money for physical cards that are very playable because people are playing with them.
Yep.
There are no tournaments in tabletop. There are no paper tournaments. there is nothing driving a price from GPs, from
Right.
Pro Tours, from FNMs across the globe, other than in the few places where they can play
And
it.
prices haven't dropped. Some of them have went up in this time period.
So-
Commander staples have been going up.
So who's buying these cards? Well, the unenfranchised
Yep.
or less enfranchised kitchen table players. That's who. But the whole landscape is changing. We're seeing a ramped up change due to at least two factors, the COVID and MTG Arena. So competitive players are gravitating towards the online and the arena and playing there. If they really have the competitive bug, that's where they're going. And it does, but that's where they're going to play. People play, interact, and consume Magic faster than ever. And maybe it's time for each of us to decide where and or how far we want to ride the train. If you were a grinder in the tabletop world, you've probably either migrated to MTG Arena or Magic Online, or you've probably quit playing by this point, is what
Yeah.
I'm going to say.
Probably.
You've done one of those things because you can't go grind tabletop anymore. Now, if you just like playing kitchen table, you're probably still playing kitchen table with your buds. Even during COVID, you're probably doing that.
Yep.
And as an enfranchised player, it can be easy to overlook all the players who aren't enfranchised and just assume everyone's like yourself. The actual truth is very far from that. I've been enfranchised for a long time. And most of you watching would qualify because you're watching content about Magic. But most players aren't. They're not watching this. They're not watching any kind of stream. They don't know what the story is. We already went over that. They're not doing that. And being part of the enfranchised community usually came along with some amount of competitive play.
Yeah.
Not always, but mostly. Even when it didn't come with competitive play, it came with the competitive play scene. If you were a cosplayer, you went to GPs because that's where you could cosplay.
Right.
Maybe you went with your buds because you're going to hang out and you were going to play in the main event, some side events, get some cards signed. You liked the art. It was still centered around competitive play.
Even if you were a collector, those were the kind of places you went looking for cards because that's where you could get them.
So you were grinding, you were cosplaying. Maybe you were a content creator yourself, or you wrote articles. You were a brewer. You brewed decks and hoped one of your decks would make it. You know, there were lots of ways to be an enfranchised player, but still, most people aren't. COVID and online play have changed our ability for the way those things go. But Magic isn't going anywhere. The pricing is showing you that.
Right.
Card single prizes haven't plummeted because the competitive tabletop scene is dead. New sets are still selling like gangbusters. People are still playing a lot of Magic. They're playing it in each other's homes. They're playing webcam Magic, which I haven't flirted with because we've been able to kind of still play in person around here. Has kind of gone the way of arena or online. Kitchen table will always be the number one, not a format. Because it's not a format. It's just however you're playing at home on your kitchen table. It's always going to outperform Commander, Standard, Modern, Vintage. It's just going to do it. House rule what you know and play how you want and have a good time.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I get a person that comes in here every once in a while asking about that, and I have to tell them, no, I don't have anybody that plays kitchen table in here. Nobody plays 60 card stuff.
60 card casual. Yeah.
No, nobody plays that. I kind of wish we did, but there's a lot of formats competing for our time and attention.
Yeah. A lot of us that like more casually have chosen Commander.
That's our preferred method of interacting with it.
Right.
So, all this taken together, along with some stuff I've said before, is that Magic's not going anywhere, but it is changing. And the direction that it's going with aiming itself at the less enfranchised crowd, the less competitive crowd, the more casual crowd, the unseen heroes of the Magic world, as it were, means that we're going to see Wizards doing a lot of stuff. And I think we need to stop and think, if it irritates us, why is it irritating us? Is it really a big deal that it's going to be hard to get a Negan if it becomes a turn? Glenn, I guess, is the one that might be legacy playable. Is that really a big deal?
Glenn or Rick are the ones.
Is that really a big deal? Do any of us watching this really care? No. Does it really matter? No. Okay.
And we all elves. There's more of these guys.
There are.
The Walking Dead. It's not like they just said, let's just do a Walking Dead one. No, I guarantee there's at least 3 or 4 more of these with different IPs already set back, ready to roll out.
They'll be coming. We're going to see all kinds of stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Let's not stop Let's not stop new people from joining because they see something neat. Let's not be a gatekeeper who stops somebody who wants to enjoy the game in a way that we think is not right. If you need to rule stuff in your play group because something gets out of hand, rule it in your play group.
Rule 0 needs to become much more important to all of us. I truly believe I have my own opinions about what has happened with the Secret Lair, with a lot of things, especially surrounding Commander in particular. But I think the greatest thing the RC has ever done, and what we all need to take more advantage of, is Rule 0. We need to have those conversations much more openly every time we play a game of Commander. We need to talk about power levels. We need to talk about if you have a play group at someone's house, you guys want a ban list, that's fine. You guys don't like the Secret Lair cards, you can not. Nobody here can play them, because nobody better buy them, because we're not going to play them in this house. Whatever you guys want to do, that's just fine.
I might be playing some.
Did you?
I bought some. I'm not going to lie about it.
I struggled. I struggled with whether I was going to.
I bought some, whether they'll be put up and sold for profit, or whether I'll crack one to play with. I don't know, but I did not pass up not buying them. But it's only the second Secret Lair I've ever bought.
No, I completely understand. Like I said, I was very torn on whether I was going to get them or not, and instead I went to Frank's and I bought what I told you I bought. That was my choice instead.
One of the things that moved the needle...
I spoke with my dollars.
One of the things that moved the needle is, what if this is the only time this happens? What if we all moved the needle enough to where they don't do it quite this way again? They go to a gold or a silver border, or they change them substantially.
No, I'm 100% behind you. It was very hard for me not to.
These could be very unique.
It was very hard for me not to buy them, but I had told other people, and I had been adamant in my belief that if you would disagree with what Wizards did, the only way you can show that is to speak with your dollars.
Again, I had a hot take. Once I stopped and thought about it, it's all copacetic. I'm cool. So, shall we move along to the Commander Legends teaser that Mayro gave us?
Oh, certainly.
Let's do a little speculation. Before we do the speculation, I want to go ahead and hit this part down here. He told us that we're going to get some creature type lines we've never gotten before. And some of these are very interesting. So these are all legendary creatures coming in Commander Legends. We're going to finally get a legendary horse.
I thought we had one of those.
I don't believe so.
But that white thing out of no, it wasn't legendary, wasn't it? It was just a big, awesome rare. Okay.
Elemental Lizard. Again, legendary.
Yep.
Spirit Pirate. Which you don't want to say 3 times fast.
I'm super happy that, sadly, I did maybe look at some of those leaks we're not going to talk about. It does look like there might be a bit of a pirate theme in Commander Legends. And please, because Beckett Brass needs help.
We're also getting an Elephant Warrior. A Chimera.
Oh, a legendary Chimera. We haven't even seen a Chimera period in a while.
Naga Druid.
Ooh.
Turtle Shaman. A legendary Imp.
Ooh.
For all you Imp lovers, a legendary Imp. A Fairy Knight.
Oh.
And last, but certainly not least, Rabbit Wizard.
Yeah.
Visordrix is going to be one of a kind.
Just makes me think of Watership Down.
So anyway, those are some legendary type lines we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So here's our teaser, all right? And I didn't get in on this and do any speculating because I've been way behind. For those of you local, because I don't ship anywhere, if you want to use the wish list, I've been entering a lot of cards from that store I bought out, and I've added a lot to the Chibi box up here too. So y'all be looking. I've been adding a lot of cards. So there is a card that lists 14 creature abilities.
I don't even know where to start on what
I don't know what the most is currently because Odric, there's a couple of Odrics that list quite a few.
That's fair, yeah.
You know, where you can choose and give other creatures some of those abilities.
I guess
the 14 might be a new record, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and one of the Precon commanders for Ikoria, didn't it? The Abzan one, whenever stuff died, you put counters on it for the keywords that it had.
Oh, yeah, there was 10 of those.
10, okay.
10,
I remember. I know it had a lot.
Creature. Yeah. So anyway, okay, so that's one thing. A card that returns 3 different card types from the graveyard to the battlefield, and not a combination we've ever done before.
Super want to go check this one out. I did not earlier today after I'd looked at this.
3 different card types from the graveyard, so...
To the battlefield.
To the battlefield. So, like, an enchantment, an artifact, and a land?
I think we're going to get Planeswalker as one, because I don't think we've...
Planeswalker.
I don't know if we've ever had a way, other than Kaya's Ghost form, which only works for when it immediately dies.
Obzanot's Aid will do it.
Okay. I was very say, bringing Planeswalkers back from the graveyard isn't really something we've ever been able to do much. So
yeah, there's a few things that'll get a permanent, but 3 things.
Yeah, you get 3 different card types.
Yeah,
and to the battlefield permanents.
Yeah.
So
a card that basically turns one evergreen keyword action into another evergreen keyword action.
I don't
even know what that means. That one is crazy right there.
You turn first strike into trample? I don't know. I mean, it would be something like that. That doesn't make any sense, but you're turning one evergreen keyword into another.
Flying becomes lifelink? I mean, I don't know. What?
I don't know.
It does seem odd. All right. A card that temporarily steals a creature from a new place.
The command zone. You're going to be able to steal somebody's commander for a turn. You're going to be able to act a treason.
That makes sense.
Act a treason, essentially a commander out of a command zone. And so I'm pretty sure what that'll be.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. You just better be red if that's what they're having it do.
I like this next one. A card that's stronger the fewer colors in your commander's color identity.
Well, that's cool.
I like that because it has gotten really easy. Even with newer players, I have a lot of newer players building 5 color decks.
5 color good stuff.
Let's focus in on something. Let's 1 and 2 color, you know. So I like that. Multiple legendary creatures of siblings of previous legendary creatures.
Yeah.
Siblings of previous.
I don't even know I don't know what legendary creatures have brothers and sisters out there, I guess. So
man, there's a bunch, I'm guessing. So
yeah. I mean, we just got we just had Teferi's wife and daughter with him in the last set, but I don't know if we've ever really had a lot of brothers.
Yeah.
Oh my god. We gonna get another Mishra?
I don't know. A card that grants certain kinds of protection based on what permanents you have on the battlefield.
That's cool. I'm gonna get. Maybe you have protection from the kind of permanent types that you have, so as long as you control a creature, it has protection from creatures, but I don't know. I have no idea.
A card that references both beginning phase and post-combat main phase.
Beginning phase.
Beginning phase.
Yeah.
What it says.
That threw me a little bit, I won't lie.
A legendary creature that shares 4 with 3 other legendary creatures. So I heard an idea on this one.
Yeah, it has to be right.
It's Kodama of the North Tree, Kodama of the South Tree. And there's Kodama. There was like 3 of them from Kamigawa.
Yeah.
So we might get Kodama of the West Tree or the East
Yeah,
Tree
the
or something
first
like
one that popped, the first thing that popped in my head on this was Omnath, but we just got an Omnath. So, and there's
that. And
4.
it's 5 words in its name.
Yeah, Omnath, locus of the blank. They've all been locus of the something. But we have 4 of them now, not 3. That's what threw me, because I was like, oh, Omnath, 5 words, 4 of them the same on every one. Because you have locus of mana,
It also
alert
says
rage.
3 legendary
Right,
creatures.
that's what I mean. Because at first part I was like, oh no, they're not going to give us another Omnath already, right? That'd be dumb. But yeah, the Kadana makes the most sense.
This one sounds really interesting.
This one really.
A creature with 4 words of rule text
Yep.
and 52 words of reminder text.
I feel like Extort's got to be one of them because that's a lot of reminder text. I said this earlier, but I don't know what other. I don't know.
52 words of reminder text is a lot.
Extort, skulk, and prowl, and I don't know. I'm trying to think of stuff that has a lot of reminder text on it.
All right, and then here is some rules text you can expect to see on cards in Commander Legends. Damage doesn't cause you to lose life.
Interesting.
Damage doesn't cause you to lose life.
You can still be hit with a loss of life. And you still take damage. You still take damage.
At least as far as this part
For
says.
that line, is what you would take
Yeah.
the damage, but you don't lose life from
Yeah.
it.
Some kind of replacement effect.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you would take damage, don't lose life, mill cards, I don't know. Any number of auras and equipment you control.
I bet it'll be on something Boros.
Except for commanders.
Board wipe.
Board wipe?
Board wipe. But it doesn't kill commanders.
Could be.
That I'm taking guesses. I really haven't looked at any leaks, really, other than I saw there was pirates. So,
Where X is the number of attacking creatures with flying. Sacrifice?
I don't.
You know, there's the old wing shards. They
Yeah.
sacrifice a creature for each creature that's attacking. Or it's got storm, so
Yeah.
depending on number of spells played. So, I don't know. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield.
I'm intrigued because everything usually says whenever a non-token leaves the battlefield. Not a lot of stuff triggers.
Or a creature or
Right.
something.
Not a lot of stuff triggers off token.
Whenever
death.
a token you control leaves the
Yeah.
battlefield. Whenever one or more pirates you control deal damage to your opponents. That's going to be a mill card, isn't it? Or create a treasure or something.
I hope we create treasure. Pirates don't mill really so far. That's rogues.
That's the rogues, yeah.
Pirates steal stuff and make treasure.
Stealing cards from my library.
I'm down with that.
I mean, they're in the right colors. Black and blue.
Red.
And red, which wheels,
Yeah.
which sounds like meals.
You're not
It
wrong.
puts cards into my graveyard, doesn't it? All right. Commanders you control have.
But we know that banding, or not, Ivan wrote banding in chat. We know that we're having partners, so.
And if we're allowed to steal commanders you control have, so you can steal some commanders. Maybe gain control of everybody's commander to end of turn or something.
That could be fun.
X is the number of artifacts you control plus the number of artifact cards in your graveyard. So there's an artifact matters card.
That's actually cool. I don't know exactly.
Maybe that's direct damage. Damage equal to the number of artifacts you control plus the
As
number-
long as you can do it to a player.
You want to hit face, don't you?
I'd want to hit face. I want finishers. Red needs finishers. When you play control as an aggro deck, you need to be able to go face with something hidden out of the hand. Because they got your board locked down.
Yeah.
You got to punch through.
There's red X spells that hit face. Those all your earthquake variants.
Yeah, I know. I just they've been reluctant to print them as of late.
Chosen at random from among your opponents.
Yay, that sounds fun.
Chosen at random from among your opponents. And possibly one of the weirdest ones in the whole list, and the last one for tonight.
Yeah.
You and permanents you control have protection from salamanders.
I have a feeling this is on a salamander. I feel like that is on a salamander.
You think that's on a salamander?
That's the only way it even almost makes sense, is if it's on a salamander that has a salamander that blows up or something. Wait, don't we have one of those? Don't we have some little red salamanders that you could pump mana into and then they just blew up? That's a long time ago. Maybe they weren't salamanders, but...
I'm just curious how many salamanders exist currently. 2 blue, a red, a black, a red, 2 blue, two red, a blue. So yeah, not a lot of salamanders exist currently.
Yeah, not many.
Wow. Yeah. We did get a new one there.
Pteramander.
Pteramander
was
that's the newest one we got.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. Salamanders are probably getting a big push in Commander Legends, apparently.
And I was totally wrong. I feel like there was a red lizard of some kind way back in the day that you could pump mana into to blow it up and do a whole bunch of damage, but
I'm not familiar. Anyway, those are our teasers for it. And next week, since we get official preview cards, we'll be going over stuff next week.
Yeah.
Because we didn't reduce ourselves to the base this week.
They start...
Also, hopefully, soon, if I can get enough set boosters, we will still open some cards on stream.
We're still going to bust the boxes, guys.
I am still boxes short of being able to do that.
Everybody got them but me.
The boy is the last one to get his pre-ordered box plus the 2 box breaks.
So it's the 2 box breaks.
I need 3 more to just be even before I can even have any to sell loose packs with. So anyway, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Have you got anything else, sir?
No, I want to throw a random shout out. I don't think anybody here is going to be headed up north soon. But I want to throw a random shout out to Gamer Arena in Hannibal, Missouri. When I was up there on vacation, we were in Hannibal. I found an LGS, walked in, looked around a little bit. Nice guy, owns it. He's only had it a couple of years. I talked to him for a bit and won a free pack of cards while I was there. So, just give a shout out to another LGS. It's always good to still see him operate and looked like he was doing well. Getting ready to move to a bigger area he was talking about.
Support your LGS. If you're out there and about and you're able to move, check them out.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, I know you do the same on vacation. If I see one,
I get people stopping in here. I had somebody, before I shut down for the 2 weeks, traveling through going back to Cape, and they were just hitting all the game stores as they went along.
It's kind of, it's what I did, and I just wanted to give a shout out. Real nice guys up there, so I think that's all I have, though.
All right, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We will see you next week for the next regularly scheduled episode.
On the same guild time, same guild channel?
Something like that, yeah. So remember, right here at Grove Gamers Guild, where everybody knows your game.